Oh, hi guys, this is Dandelion Song. Sorry, I had trouble with my start there. I am uploading a video right now, or creating a video about say to the mountain move if you have the faith of a mustard seed. And so I'm going to continue on this because I want to bring you the most important messages first. And your faith in yourself, your faith in the kingdom within is going to be very important very shortly. Your eyes will show you turbulence. You know, at the very minimum, I think there's going to be some turbulence, if not some kind of frightening visions from your eyes. Now, in the Bible it says that your eyes are your thieves because they take away your inner knowing. They cloud you from your inner knowing. You know, you might know something, like you might know you're going to meet somebody, but your eyes will say, oh, look, you know, look, here's the world. Why do you think you know stuff? Look at it the way it is. Or, you know, you might know that that there's a hard lesson, but it has a silver lining. You might know that, but your eyes are going to tell you, no, there's only sadness here, and you're kidding yourself. So your eyes will deceive your inner knowing. Your kingdom is within, your knowing is within. In this last video I talked about the pineal gland as the all-knowing and as the Christ within. Symbolism. Not only that the story actually happened, most likely, I wasn't there, but I'm still going with that the story happened, but it was also a symbolic event. When something happens in your life, when you go to the grocery store and something happens that kind of rings your chime of your heart, or even if it doesn't ring any chimes, it's still symbolic in your life, so it doesn't take away from the realness of it. But I want to get to the mustard seed. So I am going to bring this to this story of this Pope, the 62nd Pope, and I'm going to try to do it really fast, but I was surprised because I wanted to show you this because I was surprised when I read it that it looks like he actually reformed the church a little bit during his reign, and I was surprised that that could actually happen at any time. But I do think that the Vatican was originally set up with good intentions by Marduk Ra. Well, I want to show you this mustard seed thing here. So here's a mustard seed. It does equal 20, which is this, it's also the core. It's actually the core of the word mustard. The T, and I talk about this in the video that I'm creating right now. But I want to show you these numbers. All these numbers here are code. This is a 9-6. I've talked to you again and again about the 9-6. The 9-6 is also a digital root of 9-15. Now 9-15 is the Jade Helm end date. That is when all of the rich people are going to be all snuggled into their bunkers, and then they're going to start to get real crazy on the surface here. That's my true feeling. I think the battle's going to come into the open. If it doesn't, I'll be thankfully astonished. So I'm okay if I'm wrong. I just want to prepare you in case this actually happens. So I've been talking to you all through August about the 8-6 numbers and the 816 numbers having to do with the Georgia Guidestones, Dillon Storm Roof, and the 2 skeletons found below the Hoover Dam. This is a variation of the 816 number. Also, the 816 number is a Bride of Christ Gematria code number. Now, they are trying, right now, it looks like in the media, they're trying to scare people into thinking, into hypnotically and subliminally believing that the Bride of Christ is going to be killed before the wedding feast. All of that's symbolic. It's just a joining of energy. Here, let me pause it. I gotta get my video started. All right, guys. I hope my computer isn't too loud while it crunches that movie. Well, I want to show you that these. This is not only the 9-6, but it's the 9-15, and the 9-6. That was a date that I woke up with because after we passed the 8-16 and nothing huge happened. I mean, something did happen with Morgan Freeman's granddaughter. And that it was symbolic and it was Illuminati, and I did decode it in one of my titles if you want to check that out. But I didn't notice that at the time. and it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. But anyway, they did something big on the 868, which is the 824. That was the stock market. That was a whole bunch of 6-8 numbers. Stock market is 6-8. Stock is 6-8. Market is 6-8. Stock market together has Bride of Christ, which is your 816, which is all of the numbers that I told you about before. Now, the 816, if you're new to my channel, 816 is also very important because it's the phi number. It's the first 3 digits of phi after the decimal point backward. So they are referring to phi. These numbers were also active in Philadelphia, which has 2 phi's in the name. And in another video, I showed you that if you square phi, the first 8 digits of it stay the same. And those 8 digits are 0.618033, and then, now I'm blanking, I think it's a 9 on the last one. So we have the master number, we have the 0, we have the all and the nothing, the 9 and the 0, all of that, and we have these, the 618 number that somehow stays through the square. So this is an important number to these guys. Now, so phi forward is 618, which is free, and it goes right to the master number of 33, which is their master Freemason number, and that's why Freemason has the F and the R in it. Well, this is the reverse. This is 9 and 6, and I just talked about this in the last video, having to do with having to do with those who come from the 9th dimension down to the 6th. So this is the falling. So when they are showing you numbers that are the reverse of phi, I believe they're showing you the fall. So then if the Bride of Christ symbolism, the gematria being 816, or variations of that anagram, what they're saying is that the Bride of Christ is fallen. And that's the whole idea, right? And then you have a merging with the Christ energy. This is all symbolism for the kingdom within. So that makes sense, right, that they would use a backward phi number on that. In the last video that I did that's crunching right now, I talk about Q, and it's very interesting what it has to do with phi. So please check that out. I think that probably I'm the first commoner to figure that out. I know the insiders know all that. Probably they know all that, just logically. Anyway, here with the mustard seed, I just wanted to show you real quick how they have the dates in here, and they have the codes. Here's your 868. The water is very important, of course. It's probably salt is something important. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to show you that the code doesn't stop. It goes on and on. Oh, I also wanted to show you this story about the Buddha story having to do with the mustard seed, because this is the earliest reference. And it has to do with when a mother loses her only son, she takes her body to the Buddha to find a cure, and the Buddha asks her to bring a handful of mustard seeds from a family that has never lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. When she's unable to find such a house in her village, she realizes that death is common and she cannot be selfish in her grief. The Buddha stated that if every individual were to pick a single mustard seed every 100 years from a 7-mile cube worth of mustard seeds, then by the time the last seed is picked, the age of the world cycle would still continue. If a mustard seed is 3 millimeters in diameter, then taking one seed every 100 years from a 7-mile cube of seeds would take 936 quintillion years. See these numbers? Or 68 billion. This is the 68. 68 billion times the age of the universe. Okay, well, not so much. I mean, that's really interesting about this parable. But look at the numbers they threw in here. These are the numbers. This is the seed of life number. The seed of life, 36 is the summation of 1 through 8. The summation of 36 is 666. But not only that, the vector mathematics of the seed of life, when you take the digital root of all the axes of the seed of life, where you put the 1 through 8 on all of these, on all 8 of these, the original 8 goes back to the Ankh type of idea. What is born from each axis is the 9. And the vector mathematics of 9 is it's the all and the nothing, it's the converging and the diverging. And Tesla said these 3 numbers are the secret of the universe. But what I want to talk to you about is your ability to say to the mountain and move, your ability to have the faith of a mustard seed. So here we are, we're going to look at this 62nd Pope of Alexandria, and he's also the Patriarch of the See of St. Mark. They always talk about the Holy See, and I tell you in a few videos what that is. Well, it seems like when this guy became Pope that the Vatican was already a little bit corrupt, and he tried to bring it back. He didn't want to be Pope, and he tried to bring it back. So here's talks about the election of him. His first thing upon taking office was to suppress the practice of simony. Simony is the practice of selling offices in the church. And then he turned his attention to the degraded morals of the church archons. This is actually a word that means the fallen Nephilim who are running the church. So I'm amazed he had the courage to stand up to those people. But when they use this word, they're telling you very plainly what's going on inside the Vatican, who frequently kept concubines as well as their legal wives, and he went so far as to threaten anyone who would continue to violate the sanctity of marriage with excommunication. So he tried to straighten out the church. Okay, so we go down here, and he gets into a debate, and I thought this was interesting. He persuaded, okay, so this guy's, he was known for tolerance and interest in debates on religious matters. He had a Jewish minister because in the early church, it was quite integrated with Jewish religion. And I have a few soapboxes about that, but we won't do that right now. He persuaded Al, let's call him Al, and that is code, to sponsor a debate between Abraham and a locally known Jewish friend named Moses, and Abraham brought with him his friend Severus. This is what J.K. Rowling based Severus on, but that's not. It doesn't go into it in this story. So anyway, they talk about if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you will say to the mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. Matthew 17:20, 37. Do you see the 37 right there? And 11:23. These are the two gateways that I have been talking about. I wonder if Mark adds up to a 9, because this is 9. This is the 11 and the 23. And if you're new to my videos, and I probably haven't mentioned this in a while, 9:23 is 9/11 on the Julian calendar. That they interchange. Okay, so these dates are interchangeable. Just adding that together is a 34, which is a 7. So that would be the month of Tishrei, which would be the 7th month, which would be September. Okay, and then you would also have your 7/11 symmetry, which is pyramidal symmetry. So the pyramid is symbolic for the evolution of the human mind, and you would have, this is also has to do with the 7-Eleven convenience stores. Don't laugh. On their signs, if you drive by one today, go look at it. It has the Valley of Death on it. It has the red comet, or the red strike coming right through the E and the V, which is the 27, which the digital root of 27 is 9. It says right on that sign 9/11. And they're not only talking about 2001. And also, if you read Psalm 23, it's all about the Valley of Death. And as I just told you, 23 is interchangeable with 11. Okay, so this is all these numbers. This is all code. I could spend 10 minutes decoding these letters and more of these numbers for you. Freemasons set this all together. And I think they were Freemasons who had brains like Rain Man, because it looks like this was easy for them. I don't know. I think I would have a headache trying to put this all in order. So he showed this verse to Caliph and persuaded him to challenge the Pope in order to order this mountain east of Cairo to move. We should go look at this mountain and to move. And if he had a little faith as the small mustard seed. So Caliph sent for the Pope and asked him if such a verse existed. And okay, blah blah blah. The Pope asked for a 3-day respite. He went directly to St. Mary's Church. Mary, Marie, Isis, Inanna, Ishtar. This is why she is drawn all over the world. Sometimes with reverence and sometimes not with reverence. And this tells you who's really in charge, really. The reason why she's really in charge is because the Egyptian story where she gets the key. She gets the secret name of Ra, from Ra. And she does it in a tricky way, but she gets the key. She's the only one who has the key. Well, turns out the key, I'll go ahead and tell you, is Pi. That's why they worship Pi. That's the secret name of Ra. Wild, right? Sept, okay, I'm not telling you that I worship these things. I'm just telling you what you should have, what you maybe deserve to know. Maybe, I think if you're listening, you deserve to know. Okay, so he sent for bishops and priests and had them fast, and then he held a vigil, and then the Virgin Mary came to him in his sleep and said, what is with you? And he said, my lady, you surely know what is happening. Thereupon, she comforted him and told him that if he went through the iron gate leading to the market, this is symbolic, and I wish I had the time to decode it for you right now, he would meet a one-eyed man carrying a sack of water. The one-eyedness has to do with not so much literally that he has the one eye, although that might be it. We see a lot of that. The Illuminati tries to scare you with it. But what it comes down to is, it comes down to the instruction of, if your eye is evil, gouge it out. Well, please don't gouge out your eye. But what you need to realize is, don't look through the evil eye. Look through the good eye. The information of good and evil comes in through both eyes. Those are the thieves that rob you of your inner truth. But there is good information that comes in, and you can filter it. And the information crosses at the cross of at the back of your retinas, right behind your pineal gland, which is your inner knowing. That's what this is. Okay, so anyway, in the story, the Pope hurried out in the early morning, and he met Simon the tanner. And he asked Simon what he was doing at this early hour, to which Simon replied that he was carrying water to the sick and the old, who could not fetch water for themselves, and he did this every morning before working at a hide tannery. And the Pope explained his purpose, and Simon was reluctant at first, but when he was told of the Pope's vision, he placed himself at the disposal of the Pope. So here comes the miracle. The two led a large gathering of the faithful and marched to the mountain. Beside them were the Caliph and his minister, who had already incited the people against many of the Copts. This is the Coptic Egyptian. This is the these are the people, the very early Christian church. I don't know if they called themselves Christian then. If you went and talked to them, they probably didn't. But they had a pure religion before it was distorted by the Vatican. And then out of the Coptics came the Cathars, and then the Vatican actually killed all of them. Or they went underground, the ones who survived. Abraham celebrated Mass, and they said, okay, all this happened. It is said that they knelt down 3 times as the Pope made the sign of the cross with a sweeping gesture extending from one end of the mountain to the other. The mountain shook violently as if a strong earthquake had hit the land, and then it began moving upward. Every time the worshippers rose from their prayers, the mountain lifted itself upward. When they knelt down, it came down with a bang. This happened 3 times, and every time the mountain moved upward, the rays of the sun, which was behind it, swept through the space separating the earth and the mountain, and it became clearly visible to the assembled crowd. At this awesome sight, Al proclaimed, God is great. This is code. This is actually 7-7. This is half of Isis. Turning to the Pope Abraham, he said, this is enough to prove that your faith was true. Naturally, this caused a tumult among the crowd. When order was reestablished, the Pope looked for Simon, this is also code, who kept himself hidden behind the Pope throughout the prayers, but he was nowhere to be found. So this is the story of this. I haven't been to church in a long time, but I grew up in the church. I don't remember a whole lot of empowerment about this teaching of Yahshua's. Yahshua handed this teaching down too. because it seems like that Christians are, they cower in a place of guilt and disempowerment, and they grovel, you know, around in the puddle of their unworthiness. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that you need to stand up, forgive yourself, forgive your neighbor, adjust your faith, adjust your connection to the kingdom, clear your mind, put your knowing before your eyes, and you will be able to say to the mountain, move. So this is why I think this is an important thing to remind you in these days. You may not realize it, but you have become more powerful since 2012 and actually 2011. So you may not have tested your ability, but the purer your heart, the more loving your heart, and the more in alignment you are with love, you will have the ability to say to the mountain, move. And Yahshua told you that. It's not sorcery. It's not anything to be scared of. It's not worshiping the self. It's following the teachings of Yahshua. I know it's shocking. Christians don't follow the teachings of Yahshua. I have a soapbox about that. I love you guys, Christians. You don't follow the teachings of Yahshua. You don't even call him by the right name. And when you say Amen, you are saluting Marduk Ra, who was not a god. Maybe not a bad person, was a Nephilim. Maybe not bad, I'm not sure, but I don't think that we need to pray to him. And I think that Christians are going to have a rattling of the cage coming up. So I would just like to comfort and direct you to a truer teaching. Here's Simon the Tanner. Oh, good, we have a picture. I like pictures, don't you? His name is code. All these words are code. All these letters. Let's just scroll down here a little bit. Okay, it just tells that story. Alright, so this is my video to you for encouragement, and this is what I think is the most important thing is for you to embrace this so that you will be emboldened in these days, that no matter what you see, you listen to the kingdom of God within, and you increase your knowing, and you also increase your right. You have the right to say to the mountain, move. You have the right, if you see, you know, say a military secret space program spaceship in the sky pretending to be a star person and it's doing wrong things, you have the right to say to the spaceship, move. You know, you could move it into a pile of dust. Or you could move it into a place of disablement to where it can't hurt people. You have this right. Now the church will have you, if you see these things in the sky, the church will have you cower and think about all your sins. I have a whole video on the distortion of the word sin. But we're running out of time. I think we're going to need to put these things into action. Yahshua came to teach you. He said, you will do these things and more. He was not kidding. He went to great lengths to teach you. And most Christians do not listen to this. I love you guys. You are worthy. You have to straighten out your energy a little bit and get your priorities in order and disinfect yourself from the hypnosis and all of the brainwashing of the church and public school. But your hearts are worthy. So straighten yourself out. Love you guys. All right. Talk to you.